Hello, radiant souls, and welcome to Lotus Light Teachings. Today, we embark on a journey not just of time, but of wisdom, because aging is not about fading away. It is about deepening, evolving, and embracing the beauty of transformation. Have you ever wondered what it truly means to age gracefully? Is it about looking youthful, or is it something far deeper, something that radiates from within? In this video, we'll explore 10 timeless practices inspired by Buddhist wisdom and modern insights that will help you stay radiant, confident, and at peace as the years unfold. So, take a deep breath, settle in, and let's begin this journey together. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine standing by a peaceful river. The water moves gently, carving new paths, nourishing life along the way. It does not resist change. It flows, adapts, and transforms effortlessly. Now, imagine if we embraced aging in the same way. Instead of resisting the passage of time, what if we flowed with it, allowing each experience to shape us into something even more graceful, wise, and beautiful? Yet, so many of us fear aging. We cling to youth, believing that beauty and vitality have an expiration date. But the truth is, aging is not a loss. It is a becoming. Think about it. The most captivating people you have ever met, were they the ones with perfect, wrinkle-free skin? Or were they the ones whose presence carried depth, wisdom, and an unshakable inner peace? True radiance is not found in a bottle or a trend. It comes from within, from the way we think, the choices we make, and the peace we cultivate in our hearts. Today, we will uncover 10 profound lessons that will help you not just accept aging, but embrace it as a sacred journey. A journey where you continue to bloom, evolve, and shine, just like the lotus rising from the mud. So let's begin. 1. Dress for your soul, not just your age. Have you ever stood in front of your closet, staring at a row of clothes, and felt like none of them truly represented who you are? Maybe you found yourself buying things just because they were trendy or because society whispers that at a certain age, you should dress a certain way. But let me ask you this, when was the last time you wore something that felt like a second skin? Something that wasn't just fabric, but an extension of your soul? Today, let's talk about something deeper than fashion. Let's talk about true elegance, the kind that isn't dictated by the latest trends, but by the quiet confidence that comes from knowing who you are. The reflection in the mirror. There was once a woman named Aiko, who lived in a quiet village in Japan. She was in her 70s, but there was a kind of ageless beauty about her. Every day, she wore the same indigo kimono, delicately handwoven, mended countless times, each thread holding stories of the years she had lived. People often asked her, "Why don't you wear something new, something modern?" She would simply smile and say, "The world may change, but my heart remains steady like the mountain. My clothes are an extension of that steadiness." And when you looked at Aiko, you didn't see outdated clothing, you saw grace, wisdom, and quiet confidence. Her presence made you feel that perhaps true beauty wasn't in what you wore, but in how you carried yourself. The myth of dressing your age. Society loves to tell us what we should and shouldn't wear. There are unspoken rules. What's appropriate for your 20s, your 40s, your 60s. But have you ever stopped to ask yourself, who made these rules? Why do we think that aging means losing our sense of style or self-expression? Why do we let numbers dictate what makes us feel good? Think about icons like Iris Apfel, the fashion legend who, well into her 90s, wears bold colors, extravagant jewelry, and outfits that radiate joy. She once said, "When you don't dress like everyone else, you don't have to think like everyone else." Now, that doesn't mean we all need to wear oversized glasses and vibrant prints. But it does mean that style should be something we claim for ourselves, something that brings us joy and reflects the energy we want to carry into the world. So, let's ask the real question. Are you dressing to express yourself or to fit into an expectation? The energy of what you wear. What we wear affects how we feel. You know this intuitively. Think about how you feel in your favorite outfit. Maybe it's a soft sweater that wraps you in comfort, or a tailored dress that makes you feel unstoppable. And then think about how you feel in something that doesn't quite fit right, physically or emotionally. something you put on because you felt like you had to. Changes your energy, doesn't it? The Buddhist philosophy of mindfulness teaches that intention is everything. Even in something as simple as getting dressed, there is an opportunity for mindfulness. Do your clothes bring you peace? Do they make you feel grounded, strong, radiant? Are they a reflection of your truest self? Every morning, when you choose what to wear, you are making a statement not to the world, but to yourself. This is how I choose to show up today. So what would happen if you dressed not just for your age, but for your soul? A story from my own life. I'll tell you a personal story. A few years ago, I found myself stuck in a cycle buying clothes that looked nice enough, but never really felt like me. I was choosing things based on what I thought I should wear, rather than what made me feel alive. Then one day I decided to simplify. I gave away everything that didn't feel aligned with who I was becoming. I stopped chasing trends and started choosing pieces that made me feel at home in my own skin. And something unexpected happened. People started telling me, "You look different. You seem more confident, more yourself." But the truth was I wasn't dressing differently to impress anyone. I was simply dressing in a way that honored the peace and purpose I was cultivating within. How to dress for your soul. If you're wondering where to start, here are a few questions to ask yourself. 1. What colors make me feel alive? Not what's trendy, but what truly energizes or calms me. 2. What fabrics feel good against my skin? Soft, flowing materials? Structured and empowering pieces? 3. What pieces do I reach for again and again? What is it about them that makes me feel so comfortable? For if no one was watching, what would I wear? What feels the most me? There is no right or wrong answer here. The key is alignment between your clothes and your inner self. When you wear something that reflects your truth, you radiate a kind of quiet confidence that no trend, no brand, no rulebook can ever provide. The true meaning of elegance. I once heard a quote that stayed with me. Elegance is when the inside is as beautiful as the outside. That is the essence of dressing for your soul. It is not about how much something costs. It is not about age or status. It is about the energy you carry, the way you move through the world, and the deep, unshakable confidence that comes from being at peace with who you are. So, tomorrow morning, when you stand in front of your closet, ask yourself, am I dressing for others, or am I dressing for the person I am becoming? Choose the latter, because that is where true elegance begins. 2. Never stop learning. A curious mind stays young. Have you ever met someone who, no matter how many years they have lived, still radiates an energy of youthfulness? Not because of the way they look, but because of the way they see the world. With curiosity, with wonder, with the excitement of someone who believes that life still has more to offer. And then, there are those who seem old before their time. Not because of their age, but because they have closed themselves off from growth. They stop learning, stop exploring, stop being curious. So, I ask you, how old is your mind? Because the truth is, aging is inevitable, but stagnation is a choice. The Zen master who refused to stop growing. There is a story about Zen master Ryokan, a beloved Buddhist monk in Japan. He lived a simple life, finding joy in the smallest things, watching the moon, listening to the rain, sharing a warm cup of tea with a friend. When he turned 90, he decided to learn calligraphy. People laughed. Why start something so new at his age? His answer was simple. Because when I turn 100, I want to be great at it. Think about that for a moment. He wasn't learning for achievement or for recognition. He wasn't concerned about whether he had enough time. He simply enjoyed the process. He understood something profound. Growth does not have an expiration date. Yet, how often do we hold ourselves back from learning something new because we think it's too late? I'm too old to learn a new language. I can't start painting now. It's pointless to try something new at this stage in life. But who made these rules? The only thing stopping you from expanding your mind is the belief that you can't. The science of staying curious. Neuroscience tells us that the brain remains adaptable throughout life. It's called neuroplasticity. Our brain's ability to form new connections, no matter our age. The key? Curiosity. When you learn new things, when you challenge your thinking, When you engage in new experiences, your brain literally stays younger. And yet, many of us unknowingly choose mental aging before our time. We stick to routines. We consume the same kind of information. We stop asking questions. And just like a body that is never exercised, a mind that is not stretched begins to shrink. But the good news? It's never too late to change that. What we can learn from Elon Musk and Warren Buffett. Some of the most successful people in the world have one thing in common: they never stop learning. Elon Musk, despite running multiple companies, reads constantly. When he wanted to start SpaceX, he didn't have a background in rocket science, so he taught himself. Warren Buffett, one of the most respected investors, spends 80% of his day reading and learning. He believes that knowledge builds up like compound interest. What does that tell us? It tells us that the smartest, most accomplished people never think they already know enough. So why should we? If you want to keep your mind vibrant, treat learning as a lifelong journey, not something that ends after school. The fear that stops us from learning. One of the biggest reasons people stop learning is fear. The fear of looking foolish. The fear of failing. The fear of not being as good as others. But think about a child learning to walk. Do they worry about falling? Do they hesitate, afraid of looking silly? No. They stumble, they fall, they get up again, because they are focused on discovery, not on failure. What if we carried that same attitude into adulthood? What if, instead of fearing how we'll look, we focused on how much joy we'd gain? A story about a woman who redefined herself at 60. I once met a woman named Claire. She was 60 years old when she decided to do something she had always been afraid of: learn how to swim. She had spent her entire life avoiding water, telling herself it was too late to start. But one day, she asked herself, if not now, when? So, she signed up for lessons. The first few weeks were humbling. She was surrounded by children half her size, moving effortlessly through the water while she struggled to even float. But she kept going. And do you know what happened? One day something clicked. She let go of the fear, let go of the voice in her head that said, "You're too old for this." And suddenly she was swimming. When I asked her what it felt like, she smiled and said, "I feel like I've been given a second childhood." That is the power of learning. It doesn't just expand your mind, it frees your spirit. How to cultivate a lifelong love for learning. If you want to keep your mind young, the key is to never stop being a student of life. Here are some simple ways to do that. 1. Read outside your comfort zone. Pick up a book on a topic you know nothing about. 2. Learn a new skill. Cooking, painting, a new language. Something that excites you. 3. Surround yourself with curious people. Conversations shape your thinking. 4. Ask more questions. Approach the world with wonder, like a child seeing things for the first time. 5. Embrace being a beginner. Allow yourself to be a student again, without fear of looking foolish. Remember, learning is not about becoming an expert. It's about keeping your spirit alive. The lesson we must carry forward. At the end of our lives, we will not regret the times we stumbled while learning. We will regret the curiosities we ignored, the experiences we never had, the doors we never opened. So, I leave you with this question. What is something you've always wanted to learn, but told yourself it was too late? Maybe it's time to start, because a curious mind never truly grows old. 3. Move with purpose. Your posture reflects your mindset. Have you ever walked into a room and, without anyone saying a word, you could feel the presence of certain people? Not because they were loud, not because they demanded attention, but because there was something about them. A quiet confidence, a sense of peaceful strength. And then, there are times when you see someone hunched over, shoulders weighed down by an invisible burden. They shuffle rather than stride. Even if they don't say it aloud, their posture tells a story. 1. Of exhaustion, of doubt, of feeling small in a vast world. But what if I told you that the way you move through the world is shaping not just how others perceive you, but how you perceive yourself? Because movement is not just physical, it's emotional, it's spiritual, it's the way we show up for life. The monk who walked with the universe. There is an old story of a young disciple who once asked his master, How can I move with more grace? How can I carry myself with more peace? The master smiled and said, walk as if the entire universe moves with you. At first, the disciple didn't understand. He continued rushing through his day, moving with urgency, believing that getting to the destination was all that mattered. But over time, as he practiced moving more deliberately, more mindfully, he noticed something. He felt lighter, his breathing slowed, the world around him became clearer, and he realized that the master was not telling him to walk slower, but to walk with presence, to feel the ground beneath his feet, to own the space he moved through, to stop chasing life, and instead, flow with it. Your posture shapes your mindset. Have you ever noticed how your body mirrors your emotions? When you're feeling defeated, you instinctively slump your shoulders. When you're nervous, you fidget or shrink yourself. When you're confident, you stand tall, you move with ease. But here's the fascinating thing, this relationship works both ways. Not only does your mind affect your posture, but your posture affects your mind. There was a study at Harvard that found that standing in a power pose, tall, open, expansive for just 2 minutes reduces stress hormones and increases confidence. Think about that. Something as simple as how you hold yourself can change how you feel about yourself. So, if your posture has been telling a story of doubt, of hesitation, of self-consciousness, perhaps it's time to rewrite that story. Lessons from Kobe Bryant, the power of body language. Kobe Bryant, one of the greatest basketball players of all time, understood something deeply about movement and presence. He wasn't just skilled in shooting and strategy, he moved like he belonged on the court. He carried himself with a presence that made others believe in him before he even touched the ball. In an interview, he once said, even when I wasn't feeling confident, I made sure my body didn't know it. I walked tall, I kept my shoulders back, I made sure my movement told a different story. That's powerful, because confidence isn't just something you feel, it's something you embody. And when you embody it, the mind follows. So, I ask you, what is your body saying about you right now? The subtle art of moving with purpose. Moving with purpose doesn't mean moving faster. It doesn't mean forcing confidence. It means being aware of how you carry yourself. Here's how you can start. Walk with intention. The next time you walk, don't rush mindlessly. Feel your feet connecting with the ground. Imagine you are not just walking, you are arriving. Breathe into your posture. Take a deep breath and feel your spine naturally lengthen. Your shoulders relax. Your chest opens. This isn't just about looking good, it's about feeling aligned. Slow down. The world glorifies speed, but the people who truly command a room are the ones who own their space, who are not in a rush, who move with certainty. Let go of the weight. Sometimes, poor posture is a reflection of emotional burdens. What are you carrying that you don't need to? What can you release? Because moving with purpose is about more than just posture, it's about presence. A story of transformation. I once knew a woman named Sarah. She had always been incredibly smart, kind, and capable. But she moved through life apologetically. She made herself small. She hesitated when she spoke. She walked quickly, as if she didn't want to take up too much space. One day, she started a new job, and her mentor gave her one piece of advice. Before you walk into a room, take a deep breath. Stand still for a moment. Own your space. At first, she felt silly, but then something changed. She noticed people listening to her more. She felt more confident, more respected, more powerful, not because she had changed who she was, but because she had changed how she carried herself. And eventually, she didn't have to remind herself anymore. She became that presence. How are you moving through life? So, let me ask you, how are you moving through life? Are you rushing, shrinking, hiding? Or are you walking with intention, with awareness, with confidence? Because movement isn't just about how you get from one place to another, it's about how you exist in the space between. So tomorrow, as you step out of bed, pause for a moment. Feel your feet on the ground. Take a deep breath and move with purpose. For honor the signs of time, your silver hair is a crown. Have you ever looked in the mirror and noticed a new silver strand shimmering under the light? Or traced your fingers over the soft lines forming at the corners of your eyes? lines that were not there a decade ago? What was the first thought that crossed your mind? For many, it is a moment of surprise. For some, it is a moment of discomfort. Society has told us again and again that aging is something to fight, something to hide. But have you ever stopped to wonder, what if it is something to honor? Because those silver strands, they are not just hair. Those fine lines, they are not just marks on your skin. They are stories. They are the laughter-filled nights with friends, the tears that have fallen in moments of both sorrow and joy, the wisdom gained from years of learning, growing, and becoming. So why do we fear them? The grandmother's wisdom. There was once a little girl who sat on her grandmother's lap, playing with the silver strands in her hair. "Grandma," she asked, "why don't you color your hair like the other ladies?" Her grandmother smiled, her fingers gently running through the shimmering silver strands. "Each one of these tells a story," she said. "Every silver strand is a lesson I have learned. Every wrinkle is a moment I have lived. If I were to erase them, I would erase my journey." The little girl thought about this, then touched her own smooth skin. "One day, will I have silver hair too?" "If you are lucky," the grandmother whispered. The Buddhist view on aging. In Buddhist teachings, aging is seen as a natural part of existence, something to be accepted with grace, not resisted with fear. The Buddha himself encountered this truth when he first saw an old man on his journey outside the palace. That moment awakened him to the impermanence of life. And in that impermanence, he saw the deeper truth. Aging is not a loss. It is an awakening. It is a reminder that time is precious, that every moment counts, that wisdom comes not from holding on to youth, but from embracing the flow of life. Yet, we live in a world that tells us otherwise. A world that glorifies youth and dismisses age, forgetting that youth is fleeting, but wisdom is timeless. The illusion of eternal youth. There is a strange paradox in our world. We admire wisdom, yet we fear aging. We seek knowledge, yet we reject the signs that we have lived long enough to gain it. We spend billions on anti-aging products, cosmetic procedures, and filters that erase every mark of time. And yet, no cream, no treatment, no technology can truly stop the passage of years. The irony? The most captivating people are not the ones who erase time. They are the ones who carry it with pride. Think of Meryl Streep, Helen Mirren, Richard Gere. Icons who have aged with grace, dignity, and strength. Their silver hair does not diminish them. Their wrinkles do not make them invisible. If anything, they make them more powerful, more commanding, more inspiring. What if we saw aging not as something to fear, but something to honor? What aging truly means. Aging means you have loved deeply enough to feel loss. It means you have laughed long enough to have laugh lines. It means you have taken risks, fallen down, and gotten back up again. It means you have lived. Would you trade those experiences to erase a wrinkle? Would you give up all the lessons you've learned just to return to a younger version of yourself? The story of an artist who saw beauty in age. I once met an artist named Elena. She painted portraits, but not the kind you see in magazines. She didn't paint people to look younger or flawless. She painted them as they were. Every wrinkle, every gray hair, every sign of time captured in detail. Her most famous painting was of an 85-year-old woman named Maria. When Maria saw the finished portrait, she stared at it for a long time. "You have painted every line on my face," she said softly. "Yes," Elena replied, "because every line is a story." Tears welled up in Maria's eyes. "For so long, I have tried to hide them. But now, for the first time, I see them as beautiful." That is the power of shifting perspective. The moment we stop seeing aging as a loss, we begin to see it as a gift. How to embrace the beauty of aging. If you have ever felt the urge to resist time, to fight against the natural changes in your body, consider this. Wear your silver hair with pride. Let it shine. Let it tell your story. Let it be a reminder that you have lived, loved, and learned. Smile at your wrinkles. They are not flaws. They are the marks of a life well lived. Surround yourself with people who appreciate depth, not just surface beauty. Real beauty is in the wisdom you share, the energy you bring, the kindness you radiate. Take care of yourself, not to fight age, but to celebrate life. Move your body, nourish it, not because you fear growing old, but because you cherish the years ahead. Change the conversation about aging. Instead of saying, "I'm getting old," try saying, "I'm growing wiser." Instead of, "I miss my younger self," try, "I honor who I have become." Because the way we talk about aging shapes the way we experience it. The final question. One day, many years from now, you will look back at this very moment. You will remember the concerns you had about aging, the way you checked for wrinkles, the way you hesitated before embracing the silver in your hair. And when that day comes, what do you want to feel? Regret that you spent years fighting time? Or peace, knowing that you embraced every stage of life with grace, confidence, and wisdom? The choice is yours. So tell me, will you wear your silver crown with pride? 5. Nourish your body like a sacred temple. Have you ever thought about how you treat your body? Not just in terms of food or exercise, but in the way you think about it, care for it, and respect it. Most of us move through life disconnected from our own bodies. We eat whatever is convenient, sit for hours without stretching, push through exhaustion, and only pay attention when something starts hurting. But what if we saw our body not as something to fix, not as something to criticize, but as something sacred? Because the truth is, your body is not just a shell. It is the vessel that carries you through this life. The monk and the body's purpose. There is an old story about a monk who was once asked, "Why do you take such care of your body if you believe in non-attachment?" The monk smiled and replied, "Because this body is my only vehicle for enlightenment. If I neglect it, how will I complete my journey?" That answer holds a truth that many of us forget. We take care of our homes, our cars, even our phones, but when it comes to the only body we will ever have, we often treat it as if it is replaceable. It is not. And just like a sacred temple, the body must be honored, not neglected. The way we treat our bodies reflects the way we live. Think about this. When you fuel your body with nourishing food, it has the energy to move, to think, to create. When you hydrate, your mind becomes clearer, your skin glows, and your body functions properly. When you move with intention, your muscles stay strong, your breath deepens, and your spirit feels alive. But when you ignore your body's needs, it begins to slow down, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally too. Tiredness creeps in, your mood shifts, your energy fades, and before you know it, life feels heavier. Yet, how often do we stop and ask ourselves, am I treating my body with the respect it deserves? What Steve Jobs realized too late. Steve Jobs, one of the greatest visionaries of our time, spent his life building Apple, changing the world of technology. But in the end, as he lay in a hospital bed, he reflected on something different. At this moment, lying on the hospital bed and recalling my whole life, I realized that all the recognition and wealth I took so much pride in have become meaningless in the face of imminent death. Jobs had access to the best medical care, the best technology, the best minds, but nothing could replace the health he had lost. And that is the lesson. No success, no wealth, no achievement matters if you do not have the health to enjoy it. So, why do so many of us wait until it's too late to truly take care of ourselves? The energy you put in, the energy you get out. Imagine your body is like a garden. If you nourish it with good soil, sunlight, and water, it thrives. But if you neglect it, if you feed it with toxins, leave it unattended, or overwork it without rest, eventually, it withers. So let's talk about the 3 things your body needs most. 1. Eat mindfully. Food is medicine. The Buddha taught that how you eat is just as important as what you eat. Most of us eat mindlessly. We eat while scrolling through our phones, rushing through meals, barely tasting the food in front of us. But food is not just fuel. It is life energy. Fresh fruits and vegetables carry the vitality of the earth. Whole grains and nuts give us sustained strength. Clean water purifies and renews us from within. Yet, we often fill our bodies with processed, artificial, and nutrient-poor foods, and then wonder why we feel sluggish, unmotivated, or unwell. So, the next time you eat, try this. Pause before your first bite. Look at your food. Appreciate it. Chew slowly. Let yourself truly taste and enjoy each flavor. Listen to your body. Are you eating because you are hungry or because of habit, stress, or boredom? When you start eating with awareness, your relationship with food changes. It stops being about restriction and starts being about respect. 2. Hydrate consciously. Water is life. Water is one of the simplest yet most powerful things you can give your body. And yet, most people walk around chronically dehydrated, tired, foggy, drained, without realizing it is simply because they are not drinking enough water. In Buddhist traditions, drinking water is an act of mindfulness. The next time you take a sip, imagine it washing away the toxins in your body, replenishing your cells, awakening your mind. Ask yourself, am I giving my body the hydration it needs to thrive? 3. Move with love. Your body was made to move. Look at nature. Everything moves. Rivers flow, trees sway, animals stretch and roam. But as humans, we have become unnaturally still. We sit for hours, hunched over screens. We forget to stretch, to walk, to let our bodies breathe and expand. And when movement stops, energy stagnates. But movement doesn't have to mean intense workouts. It can be as simple as a morning stretch that wakes up your spine, a slow, mindful walk where you feel the earth beneath your feet, dancing in your kitchen just because it feels good. Your body was designed to move, stretch, flow. So instead of seeing movement as a chore, see it as a gift. A way to celebrate life, to feel alive in your own skin. A simple practice to honor your body. If you want to start treating your body like the sacred temple it is, here's a simple practice. Every morning, take a moment of gratitude for your body. Before you get out of bed, place a hand on your heart and say, "Thank you for carrying me through another day." Drink a glass of water with awareness. Feel it refresh you. Feel it nourish you. Move even for a few minutes. Stretch, breathe, step outside. Let your body wake up. Eat one meal with full presence. Taste every bite. Eat slowly. Appreciate the food on your plate. Listen to your body's signals. When it's tired, rest. When it needs movement, move. When it craves nourishment, feed it with care. The more you honor your body, the more it will honor you in return. The final reflection. At the end of your life, you will look back and ask yourself, did I take care of the body that carried me through this journey? Because this body.it is the only one you will ever have. Treat it not as an afterthought, not as something to fix, but as something sacred. Because the way you care for your body is the way you honor your life. So tell me, how will you start treating your body like the temple it truly is? 6. Kindness, the true mark of elegance. If you were to close your eyes and picture the most beautiful person you've ever met, who would come to mind? Was it their flawless skin, their perfect features, or was it something deeper? The way they made you feel, the warmth in their voice, the way their presence left an imprint on your heart? Because the truth is, there is no beauty greater than a kind heart. The woman who cleaned for others. In a quiet Buddhist temple, there was an elderly woman who spent every day cleaning the wooden benches where visitors sat to pray and meditate. She never used those benches herself. She was not there to seek blessings or to ask for guidance. One day, a young monk, curious about her routine, asked, "Why do you clean these benches every morning if you never sit on them?" She smiled gently and said, "Because the one who sits here next may be weary. If I can make their moment more pleasant, then my day is complete." That is kindness. Not the kind that seeks recognition. Not the kind that expects something in return. But the kind that is given freely simply because it can be. The power of small, intentional acts. Kindness is often misunderstood. People think it has to be something grand. Donating large sums of money, changing someone's entire life, making a big impact. But in reality, kindness is found in the smallest, quietest moments. The way you smile at a stranger who looks like they're having a rough day. Holding the door open for someone without expecting a thank you. Taking the time to really listen when someone speaks, without rushing to respond. The Dalai Lama once said, "My religion is very simple. My religion is kindness." And if we lived by that principle, if kindness was the foundation of our interactions, how different would our world feel? The science of kindness. Why it changes you. Here's something interesting. Science shows that acts of kindness boost your own happiness. When you help someone, your brain releases oxytocin, the love hormone that makes you feel connected. It also releases dopamine, which creates a natural high, a feeling of warmth and joy. So, in reality, every time you do something kind, you are not just changing the other person's life, you are changing your own. Kindness is not just something you give, it's something you become. And what better legacy could there be than that? How to make kindness a daily practice. If you want to carry kindness with you, start small. 1. Speak gently. Words can heal or wound. Choose them wisely. 2. Give without expecting. True kindness asks for nothing in return. 3. Look for moments to help. Hold a door open. Let someone go ahead in line. Offer your seat. 4. Practice kindness towards yourself. The way you treat others starts with how you treat yourself. Because at the end of the day, your kindness will be remembered far longer than your appearance, your wealth, or your accomplishments. So, let me ask you, what is one small act of kindness you can do today? 7. Surround yourself with uplifting people. Have you ever walked into a room and instantly felt drained? Not because of what was said, but because of the energy of the people around you. Or have you ever spent time with someone who made you feel lighter, stronger, more inspired? Because the people you surround yourself with, they shape your energy, your mindset, your life. The weight of a heavy stone. A young man once approached a wise monk and asked, "Master, how do I know if the people around me are good for me?" The monk picked up a heavy stone and placed it in the young man's backpack. "Carry this with you for the next hour," he said. The young man obeyed, but soon his shoulders ached. His back felt heavy. He struggled with each step. When he returned, the monk removed the stone and replaced it with a feather. "Now carry this," he instructed. This time, the young man moved freely, effortlessly. "This is the difference between good company and bad company," the monk explained. "A true friend is like the feather that they walk beside you without weighing you down. But the wrong people, they are like the heavy stone, making every step harder than it needs to be." Who are the people in your life? Take a moment to think about the people closest to you. Do they uplift you or drain you? Do they support your growth? Or do they keep you stuck in negativity? Do they bring peace and inspiration? Or do they add stress and doubt? Because the Buddha once said, "An insincere friend is more dangerous than a wild beast." A wild beast can harm your body. A toxic friend can poison your mind and spirit. And often we don't even realize it, because we get used to the weight. The difference between true friends and energy drainers. Here's a simple way to tell the difference. A true friend encourages your dreams, supports your growth, and brings light to your life. A toxic friend makes you doubt yourself, fuels negativity, and leaves you feeling exhausted. It doesn't mean they are bad people, but it does mean they may not be your people, because life is already challenging enough. You deserve to walk with people who make the journey easier, not heavier. The power of the right circle. Think of some of the most successful people in the world. Elon Musk, Warren Buffett, Oprah Winfrey. They all have something in common. They intentionally surround themselves with people who inspire them. Because your environment shapes you. Your circle influences your energy, your mindset, your potential. So be mindful. And if you find yourself surrounded by people who don't uplift you, have the courage to let go. Not with anger, not with resentment, but with love, gratitude, and the understanding that your journey requires something different. How to attract uplifting people into your life. If you want to bring the right people into your life, start by being the right person. 1. Become what you seek. If you want inspiring, kind, and positive people in your life, start by embodying those qualities yourself. 2. Let go of the relationships that no longer serve you. It's okay to outgrow people. Not everyone is meant to walk the entire journey with you. 3. Seek out environments that match your growth. Join a class, a community, a space where people share your values and aspirations. 4. Pay attention to energy. Notice how you feel around certain people. If someone drains you, it's okay to create distance, because your life is a garden. The people around you are either nourishing it or pulling the life out of it. So, I ask you, are you carrying heavy stones? Or are you surrounded by feathers? And more importantly, who do you need to walk alongside you in this chapter of your life? 8. Find joy in the smallest moments. Have you ever caught yourself thinking, I'll be happy when I get the promotion, when I buy that house, when I finally figure everything out? It's almost as if happiness is some distant land we must journey to, always just beyond our reach. But what if happiness isn't something you chase? What if it's something you learn to see right here, right now? The man who found joy in the ordinary. There was once an elderly man named Haru, who lived in a small village nestled between the mountains. He was known for his joyful spirit, his laughter ringing through the air like temple bells in the morning mist. One day, a traveler passing through the village asked him, "Haru, why are you always so happy?" Haru chuckled, his eyes twinkling. "Because I do not take life too seriously. I embrace its imperfections." The traveler was puzzled. But life is full of hardships, of disappointments. How do you stay joyful through it all? Haru pointed to a cherry blossom tree nearby. "Look at this tree," he said. "It does not bloom all year. There are seasons when it is bare, when the winds shake its branches, when the rain beats down upon it. But does it despair? No, simply waits. And when the time is right, it blooms again, without resistance, without sorrow." Joy, Haru continued, is not found in perfection. It is found in the acceptance of what is. The truth about happiness. We are often told that happiness is something we must work for, something we must earn. But what if I told you that happiness is already within you? You just have to notice it. The warmth of sunlight on your skin, the laughter of a child playing outside, the quiet comfort of a cup of tea in the morning. These moments, small, fleeting, ordinary, are the essence of joy. Yet we overlook them. We tell ourselves we need more, a bigger house, a better job, perfect relationship. But the happiest people are not the ones with the most. They are the ones who appreciate the little things. What science says about joy. Psychologists have studied this, and the findings are fascinating. It's not big achievements that make people happy. It's small, daily moments of gratitude. Studies show that people who take just a few minutes each day to notice and appreciate the good around them feel more fulfilled, less anxious, and more resilient to stress. Happiness is not a destination. It's a practice. And the more you train yourself to see the beauty in the ordinary, the lighter your heart will become. How to find joy in the everyday. If you want to invite more joy into your life, try this. 1. Start your day with gratitude. Each morning, before getting out of bed, name 3 small things you're grateful for. 2. Pause to appreciate simple moments. The smell of coffee, the way rain sounds against your window, the way the sky changes at sunset. 3. Laugh often. Don't take life so seriously. Find humor in the unexpected. 4. Let go of the need for perfection. Life is messy, unpredictable. Find joy in the imperfections. Because at the end of your life, it won't be the big moments that you remember most. It will be the quiet, simple ones. So, tell me, what small moment brought you joy today? 9. Accept change. Evolution is natural. Why do we fear change? Is it because we don't know what's coming next? Or is it because we are afraid of losing control? But here's the thing, life is always changing. Whether we accept it or resist it, change happens. And those who learn to flow with it instead of fighting against it, they are the ones who find peace. The lotus that blooms in the mud. There is a beautiful lesson in nature. The story of the lotus flower. The lotus does not bloom in clear, pure water. It blooms in muddy, murky waters, pushing its way through the darkness until it reaches the surface, opening its petals to the sun. It does not resist the mud. It embraces it, knowing that the mud is what makes it strong. And just like the lotus, we too must learn to rise through challenges, to embrace change, to trust that growth comes from struggle. The nature of transformation. A caterpillar does not resist becoming a butterfly. A river does not fight against its twists and turns. Seasons do not hold onto the past. They move forward, effortlessly. Yet, as humans, we cling. We cling to old identities, old versions of ourselves, old relationships, old dreams. Even when they no longer serve us. Why? Because we fear the unknown. But what if the unknown is exactly where we need to be? What if change is not something to be feared, but something to be welcomed? The wisdom of Bruce Lee, be like water. Bruce Lee, the legendary martial artist, once said, be formless, shapeless. Like water. If you put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. If you put it into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. Water can flow or it can crash. Be water, my friend. What he meant was simple. When you resist change, you become rigid. And rigid things break. But when you learn to adapt, to flow, to trust the process of transformation, you become stronger. Just like water, how to embrace change without fear. If change feels overwhelming, here's how you can navigate it. 1. Let go of what no longer serves you. Ask yourself, am I holding on to something just because it's familiar? 2. Trust that discomfort leads to growth. Just like the lotus pushes through the mud, you, too, are growing in ways you can't yet see. 3. Stay open to new possibilities. The more you resist change, the harder it feels. The more you embrace it, the lighter it becomes. Take small steps forward. You don't have to figure everything out at once. Just take the next step. Because one day you'll look back and realize the changes you once feared, they shaped you into the person you were meant to become. The final thought, happiness is not in the future. It is here in the smallest of moments. And change, it is not the enemy. It is the doorway to something greater. So, the only question left is, will you open your heart to joy? Will you let yourself evolve? Because, my friend, life is waiting for you to say yes. 10. You are exactly where you need to be. Have you ever felt like you were falling behind? Like no matter how hard you try, you're still not where you thought you'd be? Maybe you compare yourself to others. Friends, colleagues, people on social media. Wondering how they seem to have it all figured out while you still feel lost, uncertain, stuck. But let me ask you this. What if you are not behind at all? What if, right now, you are exactly where you need to be? The illusion of falling behind. We live in a world that constantly tells us we should be somewhere else. By 25, you should have a stable career. By 30, you should be married. By 40, you should own a house, have savings, know exactly what you're doing. And if you don't, you feel like you've failed. But where do these expectations come from? Who decided that life should follow a straight line, that success and happiness should be timed and scheduled? Because if you ask the people who have made it, they will often tell you life does not unfold in a perfect, predictable order. Steve Jobs dropped out of college and spent years feeling lost before founding Apple. Oprah was fired from her first TV job before she became a media icon. J.K. Rowling was a struggling single mother before Harry Potter changed her life. If they had believed they were falling behind, they might have given up before their stories even began. But they didn't. They trusted that their path was unfolding exactly as it should, even when they couldn't see where it was leading. The Buddhist perspective, every step has a purpose. Buddhism teaches us that we are always exactly where we need to be. This moment, whether it's easy or difficult, joyful or painful, is shaping you. Every experience you've had, every failure, every heartbreak, every detour has brought you to this version of yourself. And this version of you, it is not incomplete. It is not behind. It is becoming. The lotus does not rush to bloom. The river does not question its course. Everything in nature unfolds in its own time. So why do we doubt our own timing? The story of the bamboo tree. There is an ancient parable about the Chinese bamboo tree. When a bamboo seed is planted, nothing seems to happen for years. No sprout, no sign of growth, just empty soil. For 5 long years, the farmer waters it, nourishes it, cares for it, with no visible results. But then, in the 5th year, something miraculous happens. In just 6 weeks, the bamboo shoots up over 80 feet high. The question is, did the bamboo really grow in just those 6 weeks? Or was it growing all along beneath the surface where no one could see? Your life works the same way. Just because you can't see the growth doesn't mean it's not happening. Every struggle, every lesson, every seemingly slow season, it's all preparing you for a moment when everything clicks into place. So, tell me, are you really behind? Or are you just in the part of your journey where the roots are still growing? You are not late. You are right on time. Think about where you were 5 years ago, the things you worried about, the struggles you thought would never end, the dreams you had that seemed so far away. And yet, here you are, stronger, wiser, still learning, still growing, still becoming the person you are meant to be. Life is not a race. There is no finish line, no deadline for success, no single path that everyone must follow. You are not too late. You are not falling behind. You are simply unfolding at your own pace in your own time. How to trust your own timing. If you ever feel lost, remember this. Pause, breathe, look at how far you've come. Even if you're not where you want to be yet, you're not where you used to be. Stop comparing your timeline to others. Their journey is theirs. Yours is yours. No two stories are meant to be the same. Trust that every challenge is shaping you. Nothing is wasted. Even your struggles are teaching you something valuable. Let go of the idea that life should follow a perfect order. The best things often happen when you least expect them. Be present in your current chapter. Don't spend so much time worrying about the future that you forget to live today. Because today, it is part of your story too. The final thought. One day, you will look back at this moment and see the doubts, the worries, the feeling of being behind, and you will smile. Because you will see that everything was happening exactly as it needed to. That the delays were actually preparations. That the setbacks were actually redirections. That the uncertainty was actually growth in disguise. So, I leave you with this. What if, instead of worrying about being behind, you chose to believe that you are exactly where you are meant to be? Wouldn't that change everything? And now take a deep breath. Reflect on everything we've discussed today. Aging is not about fading. It is about flourishing. It is about becoming more of who you truly are. Each silver hair, each laugh line, each moment of stillness, they are not signs of decline. They are marks of resilience, wisdom, and a life well lived. The world often tells us that youth is the most beautiful phase of life. But wisdom knows otherwise. True beauty is found in a mind that never stops learning, a heart that never stops loving, and a soul that never stops growing. So, I leave you with this thought. What if, instead of fearing age, you welcomed it? What if you saw each passing year not as time slipping away, but as a gift, an opportunity to become more graceful, more peaceful, and more radiant than ever before? Now, I'd love to hear from you. What is one lesson about aging that has transformed the way you see yourself? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if this message resonates with you, like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and join our community by subscribing to Lotus Light Teachings. May you walk with grace, love with an open heart, and always find peace in the journey. Until next time, stay radiant.